Oh, what's up guys? I get a lot of consultations all the time. A lot of it lately actually has been about dating, but a lot of people have hit me up about living here in Colombia, and I just wanted to talk about 10 things that they don't tell you about life here. If you liked the video, please give it a like, maybe think about subscribing, and if you are looking for consultations, just DM me on Instagram, or you can shoot me an email here as well. Number 1, Colombia is a Catholic country, and because of that, you'll notice that on Sundays, most businesses are closed. All the supermarkets are still going to be open, but for like banks, offices, a lot of restaurants will be closed as well. Sunday here in Colombia is family time and a chill day. People will normally go to church, and afterwards they'll go get lunch, or they'll go out of the city to do like a little viaje or something, right? Just kind of keep that in mind if you're trying to make plans for Sundays. If you want to go to a park and stuff, Sundays are a great time to do it. But if you're trying to go out, or if you want to eat at a super fancy restaurant, it's possible that they're not open, so keep that in mind. Number 2, healthy food is cheap and abundant, where fast food is actually more expensive. And this is one of the things that I really love about Colombia, because in the States it's actually the opposite, where it's so expensive trying to get healthy food. All the processed stuff is super cheap. Every time I go back to the US, or I recently went to Panama, I would eat the food and it just doesn't hit the same. It feels like super processed, although very good. And I think that's the biggest reason why people are obese, is because the food that we're eating, we substitute nutrients for calories, whereas here everything's so nutrient dense. When you eat food here, you're gonna eat a lot less and you're gonna get full quicker. I think that's why Colombian food is so polarizing, because it doesn't have a lot of flavor, but the ingredients are 10 out of 10. If eating healthy is important for you, Colombia is a great place to do that. Number 3, Colombia is not an English speaking country yet. You have a few people that speak it in Bogota and Medellín. I know a couple people here in Manizales, but I would still say 99.9% of the country does not speak English. So learning a little bit of Spanish will go a long way. If you're looking for a Spanish school, I'm working with a school in Medellín that I personally went to that allowed me to get fluent in 6 months. It's called Elefun. If you guys are interested in taking lessons with them in person or online, contact them here and let them know that I sent you. It makes your experience just way better. Not just here in Colombia, but I think all of Latin America as well. When I went to Panama, I was able to meet so many cool people just for the fact that I spoke Spanish. Number 4, Colombia is one of the most diverse places in the world. It comes with food, it comes with nature, but also with people. I've never seen so many interracial couples until when I came here to Colombia, and I think that's one of the most beautiful things about being here. The problem here in Colombia is not so much racism as it is classism, especially towards Venezuelan people. They see Venezuelan people as lower, which I think is a little messed up, but I also understand. And unfortunately, that's just something really common right now. Number 5, being a gringo doesn't make you special anymore. A lot of people are seeing Colombia as like the new haven for, especially for women, right? And I'll make another video about that. But a lot of people promote the fact that you being a foreigner, women are going to be all over you. That cannot be further than the case. Especially after the last few years, foreigners have gotten such a bad reputation here in Colombia. They'll be nice to you, right? A lot of times it's because they'll want something from you. But if you're trying to date here, it's getting very tricky, because gringos also have the reputation for being kind of rude, kind of being condescending, thinking that they deserve everything, or thinking that they can earn a girl's love just with money and not speaking Spanish, right? Which I think is ridiculous. I've seen good relationships work out, so it's not impossible, and obviously I got married here, right? But if we were to do a balance of probability, the chance of you getting in a relationship is like 1 out of 20, or like a 5%, right? Is that really worth it? I don't know, man. You know, some people are okay with being played as long as the girl's hot, but in my opinion, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. It's too risky at the moment. If you want to do date here, I can help you with that if you want to do a consultation, but you just kind of have to know how to move. And the biggest thing is you gotta learn Spanish, bro. It's so awkward watching these guys go on dates and using Google Translate the whole entire time, and then trying to explain how like, oh, Colombian women are so good, they're so hot. I'm just like, dude, this guy is totally capping. I've met some of these YouTubers in real life, and they are not as charismatic in person as they are in their videos. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. The reputation doesn't really apply for foreign women, although a lot of Colombians will comment on the fact that foreign women, they don't really take care of themselves the way that Colombians do. Like, they'll walk around in sweatpants, they won't do their hair, you know, they'll kind of smell. Their words, not mine. You know, I'm not gonna say anything about that. Number 6, getting a bank account here is kind of a pain in the butt, but not impossible. I was able to do it because of my business. I was able to make one with my passport, and I eventually was able to make another one from the restaurant in my wife's name, right? It definitely helps having a Colombian partner. I would say it really depends on the person that's helping you at the moment. That's why, in my opinion, it just helps to have Colombian friends. Before I had my wife, before I had the business, I just had a bunch of Colombian friends that would help me, and I would just pay them cash. They would help me with the internet or anything else that you need, right? Getting an unfurnished apartment here is just such a pain in the butt, and you need a co-signer, you need Colombian friends to put their name on the line. I would say this is not very common. I would just stick to like Airbnb and homestay. Here in Manizales, there's a real estate agency that's really good that can rent to foreigners, but in Medellin, man, the risk for getting scammed is just way too high. I got scammed. This company still owes me 4 million Colombian pesos that I'm probably never going to see again. But in general, when you're coming to rent, stay away from real estate agencies. If you're looking to buy, I have a contact named Andrea where I've been doing all these videos with her. She's trustworthy because I've had a subscriber that actually worked with her already. So I would definitely just pay a lot more just to not have that hassle and deal with the headache. Number 8, Uber works in most big cities, but a tip would be to download Beat or Didi. Beat and Didi are like the Colombian Ubers, and they're a lot cheaper. They're just a lot less reliable. So you may have to order a car a lot more ahead of time. But if you're trying to save on a budget, Didi or Beat is the way to go. I personally use Didi. I've never had a problem with it. It just took really long for me to get cars sometimes. Number 9, Colombia being the country that it is, a lot of times you can solve a lot of things with money. And a lot of people will overstay their tourist visa like I have, right? The first time I did it because of COVID and I came to Manizales instead of leaving the country. I don't regret, I just had to pay a fine when I left. But this last time, the notary lost my birth certificate. We had to order a new one, and by the time the new one came, I was already overstaying my visa. And the second one is I was working with an immigration lawyer who was supposed to do all these things for me, who ended up scamming me out of some money. So Colombia is Colombia. That is what it is. This last September, they actually closed the visa offices down and they made a bunch of changes. All of the fines, apparently they reworked everything, so it's a lot more now. I'm still waiting for my fines, so we'll see what happens with that, but that's what I've heard. So you can still technically overstay your visa, but the threat for being deported, they almost didn't let me back into the country, but what saved me is because I was married already. So they were like, okay, yeah, they give me like a special permission. I was able to come back in, and now I'm applying for my marriage visa. My first fine, they charged me like 1,800,000 Colombian pesos, which I think at the time was like 400 something dollars. Who knows what the next one is? I've heard the fines are up to like 5 million, 7 million. If you guys want to risk it, just kind of keep that in mind. But the digital nomad visa is probably like the best way to go right now because it's just so accessible. The amount's not that high. I think it's like $1,200 a month and you can apply for one of those. The only thing is that the digital nomad visa won't apply to a resident visa in the future. I think like a resident visa, you need to stay like 5 years here and then you can get citizenship. If you got the digital nomad visa, those 2 years will not count to your 5 years. Whereas like a student visa and a marriage visa, definitely all of those do. And going on to number 10, things here just take a lot longer and are extremely disorganized. It's probably my biggest frustration with the company. I'm just like, why is it so inefficient all the time? And especially as an Asian person, it bugs the heck out of me. You got to take the good with the bad. Here in Colombia, people are just a lot more relaxed and a lot more chill about things. And even though it's very frustrating in a lot of ways, for example, they're not very punctual. Trying to get something done, paperwork or everything, it just feels like there's so many steps. It's so disorganized. At least at this moment, I would rather take that than going back to the US where everything is organized, but the people are very rude. The people are very cold. Maybe in the South, the Southern hospitality is a real thing, but in general, everybody just kind of does their own thing in the US. Something that I really love about Colombia is just the community of everything. I think that's why most people stay. The food is alright, you know, Asian food is still better in my opinion. And if you are fortunate enough to meet a Colombian woman and you know, you get married to one of them, you're gonna be like, dang, the people is really what makes you want to stay. And here's a bonus one. If you guys are here in Colombia, make sure you go to a finca. Finca is like the most popular vacation thing for Colombians. They go to like a farmhouse or like a mansion out in nature. You rent it with like 10, 15 people. They usually will have pools. You can go and cook, and it's just like the best experience that you can have here in Colombia. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Is there anything that I missed? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit me up for a consultation if you guys are interested. Peace.